I have fond memories of playing Spyro the Dragon for the original PlayStation, and if you're like me, the enemies make the game stand out for you. I'm going to rank these enemies based on how useful they would be if I needed them in an army of my own. Let's say I have a private island and I'm building an army of these minions that I could use to invade the mainland and stage a coup d'etat. I'm not counting 4 raw bosses, just the regular enemies. First there's the Goon Orc. Now, these guys are useless. When you first see them, they just like go and they run off and they cower. Like they don't have any means of fighting, and they don't even choose to fight. They just run. Like yeah, I'm gonna be like Patton here. You know, I won't have cowards in my army. Like yeah, when I was a kid, I thought they were wearing beanie hats, but it turns out they're actually wearing like wooden helmets. That's funny. Like, you know, like they're so stupid. They think like a slab of wood will do for a helmet. Yeah, and that they're so like ramshackle. That's the best they can do. Just a bit of wood and put it on their heads. There you go. There you go. That counts as a helmet. So anyway, these guys, they're getting purged. Mass executions of the Goon Orcs. Now, next up are the Gem Thieves. Now, the Gem Thieves are similar to the Goons, but the difference is, yeah, they can't attack and they just run as well, but they run with more of a purpose. They don't just stand around and cower. Eventually, they are running to get away with the gems they've stolen. And they can take a beating. They have to take several hits for you to kill them. You can't even do that with most of the minions on this list. Most of them will just die after one hit. So, even though they might not be super helpful, I could use these guys to like... if like I instigated riots, I could use these guys as looters. They can go and loot stuff and bring things back and instigate, and sow the seeds of chaos. And they could like, grave rob people and bring back some valuable loot. So I'm gonna put them as artillery fodder. They're not that useful, but they could have their uses in certain scenarios. Next we have the rams, and these are some big bulky rams. I mean, look at those horns. What are they feeding them to make their horns grow that way? Like, they must have been, like, selectively breeding, like, the sheep with the biggest, like, girthiest, horns to, make, ivory or whatever it's called, to make them grow like that. You wouldn't call them ivory, would you? Ram's horns? That's more like, elephant tusks. But you know what I mean. But what can I use them for? What can I use, like, big male sheep for? In a combat scenario? Nothing really. Yeah, they like to ram things, but that's not enough, is it? Like, what I would do is I would purge these rams, but I would send them to, like, I would get them butchered, and then I would feed them to my army. And I couldn't just use them to feed my army. I could fill up, like, their meat in, like... I could set up food banks and soup kitchens and feed the people who need food the ram meat. And I would use that to, like, gain favor from the people, so then they wouldn't mind me overthrowing the government and installing myself as dictator. Right, next comes the shepherd. Okay, shepherds. I remember those guys in the games. They would always, go, come on. Now, okay, they can fight using, their crooks as polearms. Polearms, pretty good weapons, because you have reach with a polearm, don't you? But at the end of the day, they're just old guys. They have white beards. Not exactly soldier material, are they? But because they can fight, I could use them similarly to the Home Guard. During World War II, there was a Home Guard, which was at least partially, partially people who, men who were too old to fight, but they could still be used on the home front for certain services. So I'm going to use them as artillery fodder. So, next come the thieves who steal eggs. Now, the thieves who steal eggs. More useful than the gem thieves because they're much faster. Like, they would actually be challenging to, like, you know, chased down for the egg. So I could use them for like espionage or in certain like military operations that would require speed. So I'm gonna put the thieves in the specialist rank. Okay, so next up are the shielded orcs, just regular warriors, just normal orcs with a sword and a shield. I mean, okay. Itchy nose. You might find that like kind of antiquated, but you know, you have riot police today who still use shields. Yeah, did you see that video of a guy who just like had his face just boom smashed in with a riot police officer's shield and it just knocked his teeth out? You could do that, and plus I think it should be legal to open carry swords, so yeah. Core troops for the shielded orc. Okay, next we have orc warriors. The big guys with their shields and a big huge like drumstick or leg of mutton or whatever it is. I mean that looks like it could be like an elephant. Leg of mutton, leg of elephant. So I mean it would be pretty cost effective to keep having to get elephant meat, but hey, we could like replace those with like, you know, wooden clubs or metal clubs or whatever. So it's like, yeah, these guys, core troops to send out. Okay, next we have orc sentries. Now this here, you know, that guy in the game who like, you know, you can't hit him from the front because he'll just smack you with his belly and knock you flying. But you have to hit him from the back because he's got the armor, the heat resistant armor. Again, they're pretty much just the Nork warriors with armor, and they do their jobs as sentries as well, at least as well as Norks can do. So yeah, core troops. Okay, next we have the bulls. Now the bulls, similar to the ram. I mean, when was the last time you saw a bull in a combat scenario? But if I had a whole bunch of bulls, I could unleash them on the enemy, on whoever I'm attacking, and cause confusion. It'd be like, you know, in Spain they have the running of the bull, whatever it's called, multiplied by how many bulls I have. So maybe for a one-time thing I could use them to just rush the enemy or rush whoever I'm attacking. So I'll put them in artillery fodder. Next we have the Toreador. You might remember the Toreador as the Nork you see being chased around but under fountain by a bull. Not very good. I mean, what could you use this Toreador for? I mean, if like you kill the bull first, he'll like attack you with his cape. Ooh. Pretty useless, really. And he can't even overcome a bull that he's being chased by. So if he can't even, bring the bull to heel, or he's not even smart enough to just maybe zigzag or run in a different direction than when the bull is chasing him, instead of just around the fountain, yeah, he's getting purged. Toreador, you are getting purged. Okay, next we have the sleeping dogs. I mean, the use of guard dogs is already common, and if I remember correctly, the sleeping dogs can take 2 hits. They can get hit twice. Again, a lot of the enemies on here can't get hit twice, and can't survive getting hit once. So yeah, sleeping dogs are already used by the military, so yeah, they can go into core troops. Okay, now we have the Nork foot soldiers. The ones who like hide in tents and moon you. Some moon you after hiding in the tents, and some moon you like even without even hiding. They just moon you when you're about to kill them. But a lot of the time, sometimes they'll attack, but a lot of the time they'll just run away. But because they do sometimes attack you with spears, and because they're actually dressed like a professional army, I guess they can go to artillery fodder. They can get used to them. Next we have Cannon Patrol, who are look the same as the foot soldiers, but with blue hats, blue helmets. So, but they can actually use cannons. They can actually use heavy artillery. And so, which, okay, you might say firing a cannon might not be that advanced, but you know, the fact that they can actually use cannons and they don't just run from you or moon you like the regular foot soldiers, yeah, they go in core troops because we can actually use these guys because we know that they can use heavy artillery. Important. Okay, so next we have Nork Musketeers. These guys who have, they're pretty much like the shielded orcs, because they're the shielded Norks, I mean, but instead of green, they're like yellowish brownish, and they have the shields and the same helmets. Look the same, but instead of swords, they have, well, they're called musketeers. That looks more like a bloody blunderbuss than anything else. I mean, yeah, okay, and ones who actually use guns. They have guns and shields, yeah. They're going in core troops. Okay, next we have Bird Wranglers, pretty much just the Nork warriors, but if they use birds instead of meat, instead of big, huge meat, huge, whatever that is, as meat, as clubs. Pretty much the same thing, but without the shields and using birds instead. Whatever. They're the same, or similar enough. They go in here. Okay, vultures. Okay, because vultures attack you in Spyro. Okay. What can I use vultures for? I mean, they're too big to be used like carrier pigeons and not really like dangerous enough to be used for combat, so I would purge them, but I would peacefully purge the vultures by just letting them all go and flying over the place I want to invade as a harbinger. Yeah, they could act as like an omen of death and destruction to sow fear into the people I'm invading. All right. Next up, we have Pueblos, who are just, well, they're just the shielded orcs, but if they were Spanish. So, pretty straightforward. In you go. Okay, next we have the fat ladies. Now, the thing with the fat ladies is they can hit you with a spoon. Ooh. I mean, yeah, you could put them as, like, I don't think they really have core troops material, but the fact that they're more like, cooking things up with a spoon and everything, it could be kind of like when Stalin didn't evacuate Stalingrad during World War II. So even like civilians would be there to face the Germans. So it's like, I'm gonna put the fat ladies in artillery fodder. They have their uses because they can still attack. All right, who comes next? Next we have Kamikaze tribesmen, who brilliantly have shields over their faces. So they can't even see who they're attacking. Kamikaze, that's kind of like, that reminds me of the Kamikaze pilots during World War II. Particularly the film Empire of the Sun, where, like, the lead character sees, like, some Kamikaze pilots being given their last drink before their mission. But at the end of the day, I mean, they're just artillery fodder. They're just there to be sent out to get to draw fire and just mindlessly rush into battle. Okay, now we have armored Norks. Again, similar to Norks. I keep calling them orcs. Armored Norks, similar to the Nork warriors and Orc sentries, but just on the ice. Yeah, so pretty easy. Just go into the core troops. Okay, next we have ski patrol. Okay, ranged attackers. They throw snowballs at you while skiing. Reminded me a bit of the skiing henchman and the ski chase from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Yep, good enough to go into core troops. Then we have snowball troopers, who are just the same thing but without skis. So core troops. Yeah, not quite as good because no skis, but hey. Oh well, not everyone can be a skier. We need people who are more grounded than that. That doesn't make sense. Whatever. Moving on. Now we have snow orcs, just big brutes who are pretty similar to, the other big Norks, but they use their hands instead. But they're so big and strong. Yeah, close enough. Close enough to go into core troops. Okay, now we have armored druids. But now, okay, armored druids with magic, but you never actually see them using magic, which leads me to think that really they're like apprentices who haven't learned how to use magic yet. So, okay, the fact that they have potential to someday use magic, or maybe they can use magic, but we just don't see them using it in the games, means that they're better than artillery fodder, but not special enough to go into the specialist category. So yeah, put them into core troops. Okay, green wizards. They can use lightning magic. They can just strike people using magic. I mean, good God. Imagine being able to summon lightning bolts to strike people, to strike your enemies. So yeah, they're going in elite. Hell yeah, I want these guys on my side. Absolutely. Okay, now we have beasts. They just look like these massive prehistoric warriors. Oh no, I mean prehistoric animals. Just huge, like, things that you'd see in like an alien coliseum. They're like something John Carter of Mars would fight. I'm like the only person I know who's actually read the Barsoom novels by Edgar Rice Burroughs with John Carter. Read all of them, so... Oh, you imagine like sending one of these guys out, one of these big ugly fuckers out to like, attack the enemy. Imagine just letting one loose into like a city or a town or whatever that you want to conquer. Like, people would shit themselves. And they look like big and pretty difficult to take down with conventional weapons. So, yep, core troops. Okay, now we have the big bugs. I mean, I think they're called spiders or metalback spiders, but like they look more like stag beetles than anything. These things, not only are they big and intimidating, because imagine a big huge stag beetle coming at you, but Spyro can't kill these guys normally. He has to supercharge to kill them. So like that's gotta put them in elite. I can only imagine the carnage I can cause by like unleashing them upon my opponents. Okay, next we have Elder Wizards. Again, being able to just use your magic on your opponents. Yeah, elite. And this guy's got a beard, got a big long beard, so you know he's the real deal. You know he's the real deal. Like, having this guy amongst my commanders, all my high-ranking guys, that'd be like like in that scene in the first Star Wars where you have all these like high-ranking Imperial officers, and then there's just this like wizard guy, Darth Vader, this like space wizard who can just use the Force to choke all these people, just sticking out like a sore thumb. Like, it must have been surreal for all those generals and admirals, you know, just having to deal with that guy. So yeah, it'd be like that. Absolutely. Okay, then we have tornado wizards. Same thing, but these guys can summon tornadoes. Again, imagine being able to do that. Absolutely. Imagine all the arcane knowledge all these wizards must have. Like, absolutely, absolutely. And we have green druids. Green druids... The thing with green druids is they can't use offensive magic. They can just use it to, like make platforms rise and go back down and summon, like, walls up and down. Which, okay, that can definitely, like, be useful, but the fact that they can't use their magic offensively means I'm just going to put the green druids in specialists instead. Ban the bot. Okay, so next. Ice Norks. Okay, just again, similar to the other big Norks, just in the ice. Same thing, pretty easy right there. Okay, now Electro Norks, who are smart enough to use electricity to try and kill Spyro by activating this, how does it go? I mean, okay, they're not that technical. They activate the electricity, bzz, big, huge electricity zap Spyro. But you know what? That's pretty technical as far as Norks go, so yeah. Electro Norks are going in specialists. Okay, now we have boars. Again, how am I going to use boars? Boars in my army? No. Same thing with the rams. Purge them and then serve them up as meat to my men and in my soup kitchens and food banks. Purge. Okay, gunners. Okay, gunners. They have little, like, miniature tanks that miniature electric tanks they just go around shooting Spyro in. I mean, gotta have tanks. Or really, those are kind of like tankettes. Like, during the interwar period and World War II, like, they had tankettes, which are like tanks but smaller. Like miniature tanks. So, yeah. That's pretty much what these have. I mean, okay, they were infamously absolutely shite, and for the most part during World War II, they were mostly used by the Italians and Japanese, who had the worst tanks, and they were like crap and broke down all the time and weren't very powerful. But you know what? We don't have many, like, you know, fighting machines here, so beggars can't be choosers. Gunners are going to specialists. Next up, laser Norks. So pretty much like orcs with laser guns, right? Pretty similar. So like the musketeer orcs, but, you know, with more high-tech equipment. Oh, and no, I just looked it up. They're not actually guns. They're shock sticks. They're like cattle prod, electric cattle prods, pretty much. That just made me think of that episode of Bottom where they go trick or treating with an electric cattle prod. You know, trick or treat, just cash, no sweets, like that. And it makes Richie shit himself multiple times. Yeah, okay, yeah. So core troops. Okay, next we have attack frogs. Okay, now I haven't been too kind to most of the animals, but the ones that are like regular animals, except for the, you know, the dogs, because, you know, guard dogs, you know, get standard having guard dogs. But these, like, But they're not regular frogs either. These big monstrous frogs. They look like alien. Like, they're huge. Like, imagine, like, you're a massive frog the size of, like, a large dog coming to attack you. Like... But how difficult are they to train? I imagine frogs that attack frogs aren't the easiest to train like sleeping dog, like the dogs are. But then again, I don't know. I want to keep these around because they just look cool. My inner mad scientist wants, big, huge, massive frogs that have been genetically engineered to attack. But at the same time, it's like, are they that resilient? I mean, they can be killed in one hit by Spyro, but... I think these would freak people out so much. They would lower the morale of the enemies. So, worth putting them in core troops. Okay, dragon-eating plants. Now, okay. Plants that can eat people, that's something. I mean... I want to keep them around just for the novelty. Because I've seen all 4 of the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes films. And it's like, like the idea of having my own, like, army of, I mean, I'm assuming if they can eat dragons, they can eat people as well. My own, like, man-eating plants. Come on, like, Gangrene from the Killer Tomatoes films. I mean, he's not in the first one, but he's in the other 3. Plus, like, how would you make the dragon-eating plants? Do they just grow naturally, or do they have to be made in a lab? Could you have seeds? Seeds for them? Because that would be like planting, like, the seeds for, like, the Cybermen from, Dragon Ball Z. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Have my own versions of the Cybermen. But, at the end of the day, they're just big plants that eat people. So it's like... They're going on artillery fodder. Okay, who's next? So... Nook dudes, who are pretty much the same thing as the shielded Nooks, but... with so many Walkmans and Mohawks. I think those are Mohawks. And instead of swords or whatever, they have knives. That's how they gotta knife fight people like it's the climax of Dune. They'd fit right in London or Birmingham. So for similar reasons, they just go into core troops, just like the other, ones that have shields and blades. They're just there. That section of the game's equivalent of them. Okay, now we have Banana Boys. Okay, what even are those Banana Boys? Are they human? Are they apes? I mean, they're humanoid. I mean, they're just crazy banana flinging ape monsters. I mean, not exactly like the discipline sort. Not something you could who could carry out, tasks that are more advanced than fling bananas at whoever you don't like. But seeing that thing come at you, this big thing that's like 50% head, just coming at you, flinging its shit at you with an arrow through its, through its hair. It's like, artillery fodder. And then you get strong arms, which are just bigger versions of the Banana Boys. And if they just pummels you instead. Again, artillery fodder. And then there are armored Banana Boys, which are just the same thing but with armor, which, okay, that's a plus, that's an improvement, but... it's not an improvement on much. But hey, put them in the front lines and have them attract a lot of fire and withstand fire because of their armor. Yeah. Artillery fodder. Okay, next we have green thieves, which are the same thing. And I said green thieves, not green sleeves with a lisp. Green Thieves sounds like you're saying green sleeves with a lisp. You know, that song that goes da 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 da. You're going in specialists. Red Thieves. Same thing but in red. Specialists. Okay, now we have Carrot Top Monks. These are monks that, you know, sometimes I have two images, but really they're the same thing. Sometimes they're small like this, sometimes they're large like this. I can't remember. It's been so long since I played the game. I can't remember if they're actually like harmless when they're small or if they actually can hurt you if you get close. But then they turn big and get one big, huge, massive arm that they can smack you with. But honestly, if they're in a small thing, they're powerless if they don't have anyone turning them big. And even when they're big, they're just a tall guy with a long arm. Like, I'd be better off just hiring basketball players. Especially since, like, you know, judging by how fucked up they look, are they, like, inbred or something? Or at least mentally, it at least suggests how mentally feeble they are based on, like, their different eye shapes and the protruding teeth and everything. And one of them just having one long, fucked up arm, like... And I feel like if I were to, you know, take over a country, I would go mad with power and establish a eugenics program, and they would definitely get purged if that happens. So, yeah. Carrot Top Monks get purged. I don't care if they are monks. The Japanese didn't care if they were attacking monks during World War II. Jesus Christ. You know, that photo of a Japanese soldier shooting a Buddhist monk, like, from behind, like, yeah. That's what happened to these guys. Now there are slap-happy armored monks. Now you might be thinking, okay, I'm going to purge these guys too? No. First of all, their like slap-happiness shows they have a bit more martial prowess. And also their skinny heads with a shock of orange hair reminds me of Beaker from the Muppets. You know, Professor Honeydew's existent, who goes, me, 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 me. That guy. So I would keep them around, at least for the comic effect. Plus, they have armor on. That's a plus. So, and they look like they can actually hold their own even when they're smaller. I don't know if the Carrot Top Monks, again, can hold their own when they're small either, but I prefer these guys. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. They're still not particularly... I don't consider them that important. So but they're a step above the other monks, so they go into artillery fodder. Yep. Now we have the Clock Fools. Now, don't let the name Fools will serve you. I mean, fool you. Don't let the name fool you. Oh, very poetic of you. Very poetic of me. Boy, why can't I talk properly? So, these things are indestructible. The Clock Fools. Wait, Clock Fools? Yeah, because what they do is they activate the monster mode of some of the other minions will be gained to, but you can't kill them. They're indestructible. So it's like, if that doesn't make you elite, what does? So, oh no, they're going right into elite. Imagine having, like, you know, indestructible people on your side. Think if that, because they're indestructible, they can like withstand torture. So if they're captured, it's like sod it. Well, if they're captured, they can just turn into, you know, seemingly inanimate objects like they do. Okay, next up is Cupid. So pretty much a flying devil, a devilish version of Cupid, or a devilish version of a cherub that shoot bows and arrows. I mean, imagine having soldiers who can fly. And I don't mean fly as in a plane, just by themselves, without any machinery, just in wings. That's definitely something. Yeah, sure. Bows and arrows, I can do damage with bow and arrows, so, Yep, they're going in core troops, much like how many medieval armies had archers in their core. Yeah, I'm having these guys. Okay, armored turtles. Again, there are two images, but they're for the same thing. They can grow from a harmless little one to a big, massive turtle. And I want that because I want my own. It's like having my own version of Gamera. You've ever seen the Gamera films? All of which I like, except Gamera Super Monster. Nobody likes that one. Including the Gamera, like, miniseries or TV series that came out. When was that? A couple of years ago. I like that one too. So, just from that, I mean, imagine having your own miniature version of Gamera to terrorize your enemies. Hell yeah. So, core troops for the armored turtles. Devil dogs. I mean, again, there are two images, but they represent one. Once they go from a harmless-looking puppy dog to a devilish dog, a devil dog. Nothing to do with the confectionery. Nothing to do with the cakes. No, okay, so again, if I had the sleeping dogs, I gotta have the devil dogs in the core as well, so yeah. And, when, not in devil dog mode, when not in devilish mode, it could just be a cute puppy for my troops to play with to keep morale high. They could be like my mascots. Then there are Nork balloonists. Nork balloonists are just like orc sentries with balloons. So yeah, no need to differentiate them. Just put them in the core troops. Now we have puffer birds. Okay, they're balloon-like birds, and if you get near them, they'll peck you. Ooh. Purged and made into poultry. Blue wizards. Like the green wizards, or like the green wizards and the elder wizards, but they have all the powers of that, and they look a bit like if you combine the egg thieves, with the black mages from Final Fantasy. If you ever played Final Fantasy 9, Vivi, oh man, who doesn't like Vivi? I love Vivi and his whole existential crisis that he goes through, so yeah. And on top of that, the blue wizards can animate suits of armor into warriors. So yeah, if that doesn't get you into elite, what does? Okay. Which brings us to tin soldiers, who are just what I said, suits of armor animated. How cool would that be? Having a suit of armor that can be animated. But I'm guessing that'll only work if the blue wizards are around, so they can't work all the time. So it's so the downside with that is if in battle you would need at least one accompanying blue wizard, and if that wizard dies, can't reanimate them anymore. Can't make the tin soldiers after it gets destroyed, after it gets defeated, won't get back up without another blue wizard. But still, sending just suits of armor, that don't need to be fed or anything, don't need morale, don't need anything. You can just command them and they'll do your bidding. Core troops. Absolutely. Okay, we have Norkadiers. Nork soldiers that throw grenades at you. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's just making me think of the song British Grenadiers. You're the one that goes down, the one that goes dun 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 dun. Row 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 for the Norkish Grenadiers. So but grenades, actual ranged weapons. They can go into core troops, but they're definitely one of the better ones of the core troops. I mean, if I'm putting the ones that can use cannons in core troops, that go do grenadiers as well. Armored horrors. Now, what even are these? Like, are these like creatures who naturally live in the world of Spyro, or have they been like genetically like engineered and created by like Nasty Nork or whoever works for Nasty Nork? Because I myself am a connoisseur of like monster movies and like, you know, films where like, you know, science experiments have gone horribly wrong. Like I've seen all sorts of movies like that. I love them. So I gotta have these in my army. Big, huge brutes that can just leg waste to whoever I tell them to. Absolutely. Now you get pansies, who are just the same thing as the armored horrors, but without the armor. And if they like flowers a lot, but they're still formidable. They're still pretty much, at least almost as formidable as the other horrors. It's just they like flowers. But hey, the Frankenstein monster liked flowers. At least in the, you know, the Universal movie with Boris Karloff, the first one, where he like chucks a girl into a lake. So yeah, I'll have them both. Yeah, their temperaments may be different because one likes flowers more, and the other is more like abrasive and monstrous. In, you know, what the fuck was that? I just heard a sound that went burm burm. What the fuck? Some sort of alarm? Anyways, yeah, but like yin and yang. What the fuck is that? Can you hear that? Oh god. What the fuck was that? No, that like what the fuck? It's like a nuclear bomb. Okay, quick. I think they're on to me. That's what it is. So I have to quickly do this. Gotta be swift. All right. So. Moving on to dock workers. Right, these dock workers, you know, just shipping explosives and shit, or not just explosives or items. I could use these guys. I could use them in like you know, since they're blue collar workers, I could use them in propaganda posters like what the Soviet Union did. But I don't know, in a combat scenario, artillery fodder. Now next up are TNT Wranglers. So these guys can actually, like, if I remember correctly, do they throw TNT at you? Do they do that? I'm gonna look up what they do. Okay, so these are like, you know, okay, they're more formidable. They need to. They're gonna hit twice. Okay, and that's more than you can say for most of these guys. Ah, bloody hell. Oh, my throat feels so dry right now. More water will solve that. So they get to be core troops. And then you have engineers. I mean, they're engineers. It's gotta be something. Yo, they so like the last two, but if they actually like majored in a STEM course, so yeah, they get to be specialists. Yes, they do. Now there's the Nork Commandos. This one clearly like he's fucking Rambo or something. Straight up like he's like an 80s action hero. I mean, okay, a Nork with a gun. We've had that before. We've had Norks with guns, but the fact that these are the ones you fight close to the end before you actually fight Nasty Nork. Yeah. That suggests they're more formidable. I mean, they're the elites, right? They're the elite soldiers, so... But does being elite soldiers really mean elite? Or Or does their expertise in fighting make them specialists? Because you could say with these three, you could apply all of that to the Nork Commandos, Machine Gunners, and Nork Survivalists. All three of them are pretty much, I would class as the same thing, even though the Nork Survivalist uses a big-ass blade instead of guns. That's a tough one. Specialists or elites? Specialists, elites. I mean, I put the gunners in specialists, and they use bloody things, bloody ranged weapons, and they use like little miniature, like little tankettes. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna put these three in specialists, because what makes them specialists is clearly they're the best of the best. Yeah, they're not like, maybe not commanding officer material, but yeah, they're special forces. Yeah, they can maybe be put in charge of like special forces or the bulk of special forces. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Okay, then you have a purple thief, just the same as the other thieves, but he's near the end of the game and he steals a key. And then you have a plain thief. Okay, so a thief. So again, just looks like a regular blue egg thief, but this one can fly a plane, and that makes him pretty damn special, if you ask me. How many other of these enemies can fly a plane? I mean, I'll probably want some semblance of an air force, and since I like, you know, purge the birds, they're the only other ones who can fly. Oh wait, or can any of the others fly? Oh no, the Cupids can fly, but at least as far as I know, not high. They just kind of hover off the ground. That's not the same as having an air force, so yep, they can also be specialists. I mean, okay, they're non-offensive like the other thieves, so that's why they're not going in elites. But I mean, think of all the possibilities you could do with planes. I could like have carpet bombing campaigns. I could send them all to like, you know, drop things off. I could parachute my men down. Well, these aren't exactly men, but I could parachute my soldiers down. I could like parachute, you know, supplies down. I could parachute propaganda leaflets down. I could send them on diplomatic missions. And they could be messengers. Maybe as like a last resort, use them as kamikaze pilots. The possibilities are plenty. So there you go. That's what I would. That's what I would do. I mean, a lot of them ended up falling into. In fact, at least close to half of them ended up in. In fact, how many would half be? 1, 2, 3. Oh no, less than half. Less than half ended up in the core troops, which really makes sense. A bunch of them are artillery fodder. Again, just put them on the front lines. Or maybe either put them on the front lines or like use them for, just keep them around for certain specific uses that I've outlined in this video. A bunch of them have been purged, particularly the animals. Oh boy, Peter is going to have a shit fit if they find out. A fair amount get to be in the specialists. In fact, close to as many as... Well, yeah, as ones who get to be artillery fodder. So a fair amount of specialists, even though some of them are just thieves. Like a sizable percentage of them are just thieves, and a small amount of elites, which makes sense. It's not often a Because that's what makes them elite. It's like, it's not like, you know. Like, it would be odd if, like, a large number of the enemies got to be the elites. That kind of goes against the idea of being elite, doesn't it? Mostly the wizards and ones who have magic powers. And pretty much like a bunch of wizards, an indestructible fool, and, you know, a big, huge insect that can only be destroyed by a supercharge. Thanks for watching.
Make sure to keep him strong by feeding him lots of
subscriptions.